required secrecy envelope in a key battleground state might affect the upcoming election. And a shiny new bridge in Long Beach welcomes its first cars and trucks today. It's Monday, October 5th. The news is next.
Live from NPR News, I'm Corva Coleman. President Trump spent a third night in Walter Reed National Military Medical Center as he is being treated for COVID-19. On Sunday, his doctors said he was improving and suggested that Trump could be released today. White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows told Fox News today that decision is coming later.
The doctors will actually have an evaluation sometime late morning, and then the president, in consultation with the doctors, will make a decision on whether to discharge him later today.
However, the doctors also said that Trump received supplemental oxygen on Friday and also ran a high fever. They gave him 2 experimental COVID treatment drugs, and they've prescribed a certain steroid that is used for people with moderate to severe COVID symptoms. The White House says Vice President Pence will travel to Utah today ahead of the vice presidential debate this Wednesday. Pence has so far tested negative for the coronavirus. The U.S. Supreme Court opens a new term today, with the court facing a bunch of major controversies. Among them are a third Republican challenge to the Affordable Care Act and potential cases involving the 2020 election. NPR's Nina Totenberg has more.
Even as the court begins hearing oral arguments this week, across the street at the Capitol, Senate Republicans are moving aggressively to get Supreme Court nominee Amy Coney Barrett confirmed before the upcoming presidential election. One reason is that numerous cases involving voting rules and allegations of voter suppression are being teed up in the wings, cases that could determine who's the next president if neither candidate wins a clear victory. Nina Totenberg, NPR News, Washington.
This year's Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine has been awarded to 3 scientists for discovering the hepatitis C virus. NPR's Rob Stein has details.
The 3 scientists are Harvey Alter of the National Institutes of Health, Michael Houghton, who is now at the University of Alberta in Canada, and Charles Rice, who is now at the Rockefeller University in New York. Hepatitis C causes serious liver disease, which can be fatal. The virus is transmitted through bodily fluids, including blood. The discovery led to a test for the virus, which is now widely used to protect people from becoming infected with the virus through blood transfusions. The discovery also led to antiviral drugs to treat the infection. The 3 winners will share $1.1 million. Rob Stein, NPR News.
California wildfires have now scorched more than 4 million acres in the state this season. One of the largest ever blazes is the August Complex fire in Northern California. It has charred more than 1,500 square miles and is only a little more than half contained. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrials are up 1 1/3%. The Nasdaq is up 1.5%. This is NPR.
It's 8:04. I'm Suzanne Watley with KPCC News. In Long Beach, the new incarnation of the Gerald Desmond Bridge connecting the city with the port complex is now open to trucks and commuters. KPCC's Lita Martinez has more.
This bridge has been a lot of years and a lot of money in the making. 20 years of planning, 6 years of construction, and a total of $1.5 billion. All to replace the original span built in 1968.
It's what engineers call functionally obsolete. It wasn't in danger of falling down, but just meant it was time to replace it.
That's Dwayne Carnegie, who was the lead engineer on the bridge project. When the original was built, he says there was nowhere near the volume of trade coming in from Asia. So to handle much bigger ships, the new bridge is more than 50 feet higher than its predecessor. It's also designed to be a much safer route for the steady stream of trucks that drive over the bridge every day. Some 15% of all the cargo that arrives by sea in the United States is eventually hauled across it. I'm Lita Martinez.
The Long Beach Police Department, meantime, is investigating how a flag with the words "Make America Great Again" ended up flying over police headquarters. KPCC's Josie Wong reports.
Long Beach police said there was no sign that an employee was responsible. The department shared surveillance video they said showed someone breaking into a secured area of the station to switch out a City of Long Beach flag with the Trump flag. Police say this person then padlocked the flag to the pole so it could only be removed with bolt cutters. The flagpole is located in a construction area with access limited mostly to work crews. Police say they're working with the construction company to locate witnesses. The Trump flag was removed Sunday morning after the department said it learned of the incident. But some Long Beach residents who spotted the flag Saturday and circulated photos online questioned how the department could not have known earlier. The department said it does not promote one political party over another and does not condone flags depicting political activity. I'm Josie Wong.
California amusement parks remain closed, and cities that benefit from park visitors are feeling the loss. Buena Park, for one, it's home to Knott's Berry Farm and also gets spillover from Disneyland. Interim City Manager Aaron France says Knott's attendance provides the primary source of hotel stays, which generate tax revenue for the city.
Between $2 to $3 million this year. There's the sales tax decrease that we're seeing as a result of Knott's being closed as well. It looks like that is in the maybe $1 million to $2 million range.
He says the city budget has been balanced to make up for this year's projected shortfall. California was expected to release new operating rules for theme parks Friday, but that announcement has been delayed. It's KPCC News, 8:07.
Support for NPR comes from The Little Market, offering artisan-made goods and home decor with a commitment to fair trade. A nonprofit founded by women to empower female artisans in marginalized communities around the world. More at thelittlemarket.com. And the Annie E. Casey Foundation.
KPCC supporters include the LA County Department of Mental Health, acknowledging that in stressful times, it's okay to feel anxious, sad, or overwhelmed about things like COVID-19, racial injustices, uncertain jobs, and fluctuating school and child care needs. You are not alone. The LA County Department of Mental Health is here to help. For support, you can call their helpline 24/7 at 800-854-7771 or visit dmh.lacounty.gov/resources.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Noel King.
And I'm Stephen Skeek. Let's work through a timeline of what we know about the president's illness. Sometime last week, the president felt unwell. Early Friday morning, the president said he had tested positive for coronavirus. Later Friday, his oxygen levels dropped and concerned doctors administered oxygen. Amid that concern, a helicopter carried the president to the hospital. On Saturday, the president's doctor went on live TV and gave the world a fog of misleading information. Some of his statements obscured the facts we have just laid out. Dr. Sean Conley's sunny assessment even included a statement that the president is, quote, slightly overweight. He's generally classified as obese. Conley and other White House officials now say he made these statements to the country on TV because of the possible effect on the patient, a single TV viewer inside the hospital. For the moment, the president seems better, and in a highly unusual move on Sunday, the infected president climbed into an SUV and rode out to wave to supporters. NPR national political correspondent Mara Liasson is here to analyze all of this. Hey there, Mara.
Hi, Steve.
What is the medical team saying now?
Well, we last heard from the medical team yesterday. They said the president has continued to improve so much that he could be sent home to the White House today. That's different than going home for an ordinary person, of course. There's a full medical staff, 20 to 30 people in the White House medical unit. But at the same time, we learned yesterday that the president's oxygen levels dropped twice, once on Friday, once on Saturday, and that he's now taking a cocktail of drugs that doctors say would be given to someone with a severe case of COVID. We also did hear from the president in a Twitter video last night, and he looked better, sounded more like himself, and here's some of what he said.
I learned a lot about COVID. I learned it by really going to school. This is the real school.
So that video
steer the course of illness in another direction, and in doing so, it came off that we were trying to hide something. It wasn't necessarily true.
So it's what you were describing earlier, kind of an audience of one problem. This sounds like he was saying what he thought the president wanted him to say. The White House has gone to great lengths to make sure the president does not appear enfeebled in any way. Made sure that he went to Walter Reed while he could still walk to the helicopter. And the implicit message of that limo ride yesterday, the SUV ride, was that the president is fine.
Mara, is it normal for presidents to be less than forthcoming about their health?
Well, many presidents have been less than forthcoming. FDR was rarely photographed in the wheelchair. JFK had a variety of health issues which weren't
described accurately, but I don't think we've ever seen such an extreme version with as little transparency and as much confusion as this.
Mara, thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's NPR's Mara Liasson.
All right, now let's walk through what treatments the president is getting and what they tell us with NPR science correspondent Joe Palca. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning.
So doctors say President Trump got a first dose of a steroid on Saturday, dexamethasone. What is it?
Well, as you say, it's a steroid. It's usually thought of as an anti-inflammatory drug. It's an interesting choice because according to the World Health Organization and the NIH treatment guidelines, you only give this to people who are having a severe case of COVID, meaning that they're high inflammation, their lungs aren't functioning properly, and so it's a little bit of a strange choice and kind of makes you think that maybe things aren't quite as rosy as the president's doctors are suggesting. The other thing it does, and this is where it gets tricky treating someone with COVID infection or coronavirus infection, is that it suppresses the immune system. So on the one hand, you want the immune system to be fighting off the infection. On the other hand, you want to reduce the inflammation that can cause lung damage. So balancing it.
We know that the president was also given supplemental oxygen at least once before he left the White House for the hospital. What does that tell us?
Well, it tells us his lungs aren't functioning properly. You know, let's think about it. You breathe in, there are little sacs in your air, in your lungs that take oxygen through and put it into the bloodstream. If those aren't working properly, your body isn't getting the oxygen it needs. And so the way you treat that, in some cases, you give people excess oxygen, so it makes it easier for the lungs to function. But once you start giving people oxygen, then you're talking about an illness that is more serious than just, the sniffles.
Yeah. There are two other drugs that we know the president is getting. Both of them are experimental. Tell us what those are and what they indicate or telegraph to us.
Well, the first one is something called a monoclonal antibody cocktail. So what's that? First of all, antibodies are these compounds that our immune systems make that help fight off, recognize a particular virus and help fight it off. So a monoclonal antibody is a synthetic version of an antibody. And these are actually synthetic versions of, in this case, antibodies that were isolated from the patient who had recovered from COVID-19 and then made in the laboratory. And what you do is you take a synthetic form of these and you put it into a compound, and those are infused into the patient, and hopefully it helps them fight off infection. So that's this Regeneron and monoclonal antibody cocktail. Then the second one is remdesivir, which people have heard about it. That's also an antiviral drug that actually blocks the ability of the virus to replicate. That's usually given for 5 days. If the course of treatment is going as expected, the president would have had his third treatment last night. We haven't heard that for sure, but that would be the course of treatment.
Okay. And the president does say, or he said yesterday, that he's feeling much better, but he admitted in this video the next few days will be the real test, which based on everything you've been reporting for 6-7 months. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, no, what happens is they say 7 to 10 days after infection is a critical time, and patients who seem fine can suddenly crash. So you gotta be careful.
NPR science correspondent Joe Palca. Joe, thanks as always.
You're welcome.
So other news now, California's wildfires have now burned more than 4 million acres this year. And Sarah Hosseini of KQED reports that's more than double the previous record for an entire year.
More than 16,000 firefighters are still battling nearly 24 major blazes throughout the state, with a couple months of fall fire season still ahead. In Northern California's wine country, more than 52,000 people have been evacuated as a result of the glass fire. Among them are the Hensons, who have set up a borrowed RV for themselves and their 3 dogs outside an evacuation center in Santa Rosa.
We've been evacuated 3 out of 4 years.
Jessica Henson says this time they had no warning. She says she realized the worst was coming when she walked out of her house on the 7 acres atop the mountain they call home and saw fire climbing from both sides.
As soon as we got to the top of our driveway, we knew we were going to lose our house.
But abandoning the land her family has lived on for generations is unthinkable. Henson says she's already focused on rebuilding, despite not having any homeowner's insurance. Husband Alton Henson says they'll have to rely on the Federal Emergency Management Agency and groups like the Red Cross.
Well, right now we're registered with FEMA and all them, and apparently they're supposed to give us temporary housing where they'll put trailers on our property until we rebuild and stuff. So we're just waiting for that, but they can't do nothing until we're considered a disaster.